I learned to avoid her eyes long before I understood why. It started on an ordinary Monday, the kind that smells like burnt coffee and unfinished dreams. The office was buzzing with the usual noise, keyboards clicking, muted phone calls, someone laughing too loudly at something that wasn't funny. I kept my head down, focused on my screen, pretending the world outside my cubicle didn't exist. But then she walked in. Zara Malik, our department head. Calm, confident, always composed. The kind of woman who didn't just enter a room, she owned it without trying. Conversations softened when she passed. People straightened their posture. Even the air seemed to pause. I didn't look up. Not because I didn't want to. Because I wanted to too much. Cameron. Her voice stopped me mid-sentence, mid-thought, mid-breath. I froze. Slowly, I turned my chair just enough to acknowledge her presence without meeting her gaze. Yes, ma'am? There was a brief silence. A kind of silence that feels heavier than noise. Why won't you look at me? My chest tightened. Around us, the office seemed to disappear. It was just her voice, calm but edged with something deeper, curiosity, maybe even hurt. I swallowed, forcing a faint smile that didn't reach my eyes. Because when I do, I paused, choosing honesty over safety for the first time in weeks, I forget you're my boss. The words hung between us. Dangerous. Unprofessional. True. She didn't respond immediately. I could feel her studying me, like she was trying to understand something she hadn't expected to hear. Focus on the Henderson file, she said finally, her voice returning to its usual professional tone. Yes, ma'am. And just like that, she walked away. But nothing felt the same after that. I wasn't always like this. When I first joined the company, I was just another employee trying to prove himself. Zara was simply my boss, strict, fair, distant. I respected her. Everyone did. Then came late nights. Deadlines. Projects that required more than just teamwork, they required trust. We started working closely. Meetings turned into conversations. Conversations turned into moments. I noticed the small things first. How she tucked her hair behind her ear when she was stressed. How her voice softened when she spoke about her younger brother. How she stayed back after hours, not because she had to, but because she didn't like going home to an empty apartment. And somewhere along the way, without permission, without warning, I started caring. Too much. That was my mistake. After that day, things changed. She stopped calling me into her office unnecessarily. Our conversations became shorter, sharper, strictly professional. The warmth that once existed between us faded into something distant, controlled. I told myself it was for the best. It had to be. But then came the night everything broke. We were the last two in the office again. A major client presentation was due the next morning, and the system had crashed, taking half our work with it. Frustration filled the room. "This can't be happening," she muttered, pacing back and forth. "We'll fix it," I said, trying to stay calm. "Fix it?" She turned to me, her composure slipping for the first time. "Do you know what's at stake, Cameron?" "Yes." "And panicking won't help." Silence. Then suddenly, her voice dropped. "Why did you say that?" I blinked. "Say what?" "That day." Her eyes locked onto mine, and this time I didn't look away. "Why did you say you forget I'm your boss?" "Because I forget everything when I look at you. Because somewhere between spreadsheets and deadlines, you became the reason I stayed late. Because I care more than I'm allowed to." But I didn't say any of that. Instead, I took a breath and said quietly, "Because it's true." Her expression shifted, confusion, vulnerability, something deeper. "You think this is easy for me?" she asked. I frowned. What do you mean? She laughed softly, but there was no humor in it. You think I don't notice? The way you avoid me. The way you feel. My heart pounded. Zara. No, she interrupted, stepping closer. You don't get to say my name like that and pretend this is nothing. The distance between us disappeared. For the first time, there were no titles. No roles. No office rules. Just two people standing too close to the truth. I built my career on discipline, she said, her voice trembling slightly. On control. I don't mix emotions with work. I can't afford to. I know. Then why? She whispered. I looked at her, really looked at her, and this time, I didn't turn away. Because you're not just my boss, I said softly. You're someone who stayed when everyone else left. Someone who listens, who cares, even when you pretend not to. Her eyes shimmered. And that makes it harder, I added. Because I respect you too much to cross that line. The room fell silent again. Then, slowly, she stepped back. So what do we do? She asked. It was the question neither of us wanted to answer. I exhaled. We do what we've always done. And that is? We choose what's right, even when it hurts. The next few weeks were the hardest. We worked together, but something had shifted permanently. There was understanding now, but also distance. A quiet agreement neither of us spoke aloud. Eventually, I requested a transfer to another branch. The day I left, she called me into her office one last time. Are you sure about this? She asked. I nodded. It's the right thing. For your career? For both of us. She looked at me for a long moment. Then she smiled, a small, genuine smile I knew I'd carry with me forever. You were one of my best, she said. You were more than just a boss, I replied. For a second, it felt like time stopped. Then I turned and walked away. Years later, I understood something I didn't back then. Love isn't always about staying. Sometimes, it's about knowing when to walk away, to protect what matters most, respect, dignity, and the person you care about. I never forgot her. Not because of what we had. But because of what we chose not to become. And even now, whenever someone asks me why I avoid certain moments, certain connections, I just smile and say, because some lines, once crossed, change everything. And some feelings are too powerful to risk losing everything for.